Good morning, it's Elsie. Okay, so I did not quite get to the bunny last night. Well, I kind of got to the bunny. I worked on it again this morning, but I didn't do any of the bunny. Okay, so it's looking really great. I have never done a work that is this dark, like this sort of dense and dark, and so it's cool to be doing one. I don't know if I'll do another one, but I think part of it is just that it's black. So it's very bold, but I think once it's hung on the wall far away, it's going to look really great. In the Facebook groups, people are always, when they're looking at their stitches and they're like, it doesn't look perfect, people remind them, like, you're not going to be looking at this from 6 inches away. You're going to be looking at this, up on the wall. So try to keep that in mind. So, one of the things that I have to really pay attention to with this project that I haven't as much with others is cat hair. I have a cat with just an enormous amount of very fine light gray hair. So that hair is everywhere. It's floating around. You can't even see it right now. It's just everywhere in my apartment. So I can already see it's on the edges of this fabric, but I'm trying very hard to remove it when I see it from my black stitching. So again, once it's framed on the wall, I probably will not notice it, but I do have to remove some of it as I go, or it will just be everywhere. And that's another thing. A lot of cross stitchers have cats, and so we are always joking about sort of the cat hair is part of the project. It gets woven in and it's just, but with black, it's a little more noticeable. So I'm trying very hard to keep it to a minimum. Actually, sometimes this is the sort of pouch that I keep this project in. And I often keep my projects just on top all the time when I'm not working on them. But this one, I'm keeping it inside whenever I'm not working on it. So it's in this bag, avoiding some of the just like floating cat hair that could land on it at any moment. And so sometimes I put this on my lap also underneath the project so that the threads aren't hanging on my clothes or whatever, possibly getting more cat hair on them. So that's fun. So I did post a picture of this yesterday in the Long Dog Sampler Facebook page or Facebook group, which is private. That's why I did it then. None of my Facebook friends could see it. And of course, a couple people said that they would have done it in a single strand instead of a double strand. And you can't please everyone. Everyone has their preferences. So when I'm sitting here working on this, I do have a couple things with me at all times, and they are this little tin and this. So after Libby, my cat, my very hairy cat, ate one of my little scraps of floss, I decided to get this. So people handle their little pieces of floss, which they refer to as orts, O-R-T-S, I don't know why, in different ways. Some people keep them all in a jar and like save them forever. But this is just a place, it snaps, and it's just a place for me to stick them all until I throw them away. I don't keep them. But I learned something from Libby eating a piece of it. It was a very small piece. I think she's fine. But cats cannot spit because their tongues have little barbs on them facing in one direction. And so they cannot spit something out. So if your cat swallows a very long piece of floss, it would be very, very bad for their intestines and stuff. So after she ate that little piece, I was like, so I can't really leave anything out because she's a hungry, hungry hippo and she eats everything. So I keep them in this little pouch, which was made specifically for this. I got it on Etsy. It's very cool. And then eventually I throw them all away. And then this little tin is where I keep my little scissors, for one thing. And oh, I do have a pair of tweezers that I use to get little tiny tweezers, pointy tweezers to get pieces of cat hair out. And my sort of floss colors that I'm currently using. And the other thing that's in here is a couple extra needle minders. And so a needle minder is something that's magnetic, and usually there's a magnet on the back also, and you hook it to your project so that whenever you're not using your needle, that's where you stick it. So I have this little heart one on here. So it just, whoops, my needle is just magnetized onto it. But also these are extremely strong magnets. So I could also put my magnet on there, but I love, or my needle, but I love my little heart one. So the other thing I meant to grab before I sat down, I'll have to show it to you another time, but it is a, so it's this black thing that you put around your neck, and it's the two ends of it are lights. And so because this fabric is so small, and I'm also using black, most of the time I use those lights and I shine them right on the project as I'm doing it. And it just helps me like find the holes and stuff and see what I'm doing. So that's actually, especially for this project, it's been super important. What else? So yeah, so I show you the pattern again. Show you where I am. So I've done some of these leaves. I'm actually on the third leaf here, and I've done what's right underneath the bunny, and then I'm gonna do this leaf. I think that's a leaf. Yes, this last leaf. So then once I'm done with all of these leaves, then I'm actually gonna switch colors, and I'm gonna do this gray bunny. And then I'm going to move over here. I'm gonna start here, do all of this. This is all gonna be black. Then I'm gonna do all of this down to here, which is also gonna be black. And then I think I'm going to do, there's a crown over here that's on top of like a unicorn. So after I do the all that other black, I might do the two crowns. There's also a crown down here. And then, yeah, then I might do this huge flower in the middle. And then there's a mystical creature down here that I'm going to do in dark pink. And I'm also doing this unicorn in dark pink. So I kind of have a plan laid out for almost the rest of this entire page. So, but it's going great. It's super time consuming. I actually last night to do this and this, I think I used more floss than I did for this huge flower up here somehow. But, you know, it's looking really sharp. Like I'm loving how it looks. So everything seems to be going really smoothly, and I'm really happy with it. And oh, I was also going to give you some web developer advice this morning because I'm dealing with a situation with a client. So if you have someone build you a website, whether it's, especially if it's for a business or a nonprofit, and whether the person is like a professional or your cousin, you should always purchase your own hosting account. Open your own hosting account in your own name, and have your domain name in an account in your own name. Because if anything ever happened to the person and you don't have access to your own, it's like in their own hosting account or their own like GoDaddy account for your domain, you might have no way of ever accessing that ever again. Or if you have a falling out with the person, they might refuse to give it to you and there's nothing you can do. I actually was working with a nonprofit in Vermont 10 years ago, and their web developer suddenly decided that they owed him $20,000 for their hosting, which is absolutely ridiculous. I don't know how he thought this nonprofit would have any money anyway, but he refused to give them their website or their domain name. So they had to pay to have an entirely new, I didn't do it, somebody else did, an entirely new website built. And they had to choose a new domain name. They had been using the same domain name for years. And they had to, I helped them find a new domain name that they've used since then. But the person just like, was trying to blackmail them and would not give them their stuff. So always have your own hosting account, always have your own domain name account, so that you can then share it with your web developer, but it shouldn't be in their name or that. So that's my little PSA today as a web developer who's now dealing with another client who their web developer, original one, might not give them their stuff. So keep your fingers crossed. It's actually another Vermont nonprofit that I'm working with. Hopefully we can get the stuff from their other developer without any issues. So that's it. I hope you have a great day. Next time you see this, there will be a gray bunny here. So I'm very excited about that. Thanks, guys.